Jason, I was looking back at some of the content that we've created over the years, and it's been quite a few years now.
Yeah, like almost 15, I think.
For you, yeah. And for me,
Yeah.
Going on, 8 years? Jeez.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, that's right.
One of the first blogs that we made together once I joined the team on the content creation side was 6 questions for financial planning professionals. And at the time, I was totally new to the industry, and this was actually really eye-opening for me.
Just because it helped you sort of understand like what the profession was all about, or like what your new employer was all about, all those things?
All of the things. And I also talked to somebody at my bank who was a certified financial planning professional. And it was a little eye-opening there as well.
Interesting. And you have to tell us more about why it was eye-opening.
Oh, because they were telling me about how I could do all this stuff for free as a member of the credit union. And you popped in and reminded me there's no such thing as a free lunch.
Free lunch, no free lunch. Right. Yeah. No, that's interesting. Very, very fascinating. But yeah, no. So that piece, those 6 questions, right? Any questions, a structured format of things that you want to learn from a financial planning professional, like stuff needs to be asked and understood from the professional you're working with, so you make sure that your relationship is structured the way you want it to be structured.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if this is somebody who you've worked with for a long time and you just need a refresher on these things, or if you're looking for a new financial planner in your life. They're certainly helpful. Yeah. And that's what we're going to get into today on Money and Taxes from BB to XYZ, where we break down a single money topic and explain how it could affect those across the generations, from baby boomers to X, Y, and Z. I'm Regina Neenan, certified financial planner and accredited behavioral finance professional.
And I'm Jason Speciner, certified financial planner and enrolled agent. And as we have just led into our episode discussing, we are going to address the 6 critical questions that you should ask a financial planning professional before, or if you already are, during your working relationship with them.
Yeah, and speaking to our generations here, it doesn't matter which generation you're in. These are questions that, as Jason said, you should be asking, or if you've asked maybe a while ago, maybe ask again just to see where things stand. Make sure you're on solid ground with the person who you're entrusting your financial life to.
Yeah, and we can try to, as we go along here, to address the areas where there might be some differences generationally about like what you're looking for in that response, just simply based on circumstance of those of similar age to you.
Well, let's get into it with question number 1, and that is, what are your qualifications?
Right, and this is an important one right off the bat because, to be very candid, there are 0 requirements, and I mean that, 0 requirements to hang a shingle and declare yourself a financial planner. Okay, so that is something important that everyone needs to understand, that anyone, whether they're an insurance agent, whether they are just kind of savvy with their money, whatever, to hang a shingle and say, I'm a financial planner, doesn't take anything, right? Doesn't take any sort of like specialized training or expertise or anything along those lines. Now, with that said, to be a registered investment advisor, to be a registered representative of a broker-dealer, to you can go down a list, to be an enrolled agent, there is specialized training. There is specialized education and qualifications that you do need to have. And so asking this question very clearly sets out immediately, like, why are you in this role to begin with?
Right. And there are folks out there like excellent financial coaches, people in financial services who maybe sell life insurance, people who operate in different areas of finance, who work in people's best interest, who do a great job, who are looking out for folks.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And there are like the financial coaches and that sort of thing for sure, which is even obviously less of a barrier to entry as far as the specific training or relevant sort of, professional curriculum. One to point out here in the financial planning field that hopefully everyone is aware of, but we'll just throw it out there if not, is the certified financial planner designation or certification, however you want to refer to it. That is sort of, for this profession, the gold standard, if you will, as far as the training, education, experience, examination requirements, all of those things bundled into one very comprehensive designation.
And the ethical requirement here is the big one. So every person who earns the Certified Financial Planner Professional designation, they take an ethics oath that we renew. I believe it's on an annual basis, that we are fiduciaries. We are stepping into our client's shoes whenever we're making recommendations and making the recommendation that is best for that client, always acting in their best interest.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important that the ethical side of things is addressed and continues to be addressed through ongoing, right? We go through ongoing training on ethics throughout our continuing education. Which this leads into the second question, which you alluded to it already, the fiduciary standard. And that question is, are you a fiduciary at all times? And that's a two-part, right? It's like, are you a fiduciary? And a lot of folks out there who are out as financial planners, or they're presenting themselves that way, can answer that question, yes. The second part of that, at all times, is where there can be opportunity for a lot of gray area and the potential for the answer to be no.
And aside from the fact that here at FP FOCO, we are your full-time fiduciary,
That's right.
one thing that when I was entering the profession, you had told me about this hat switching thing, and I didn't really get it at first. With time, it grew on me, and I came to understand what it meant and how it functions. But tell us what this hat switching is, what kind of refers to the at all times piece of this question.
That's right. My sort of metaphor for the ability to sort of remove, like if you come to our office, you'll see a fiduciary hat. We actually have one, a literal one, sitting in our in a bookshelf, and that's the only hat we can wear, right? Your full-time fiduciary. Now, what is possible, however, is under certain circumstances to be providing fiduciary advice under a standard that requires that you are fiduciary, whether that's as a certified financial planner, whether that's as a registered investment advisor, etc. And then, because of the specific thing that you're doing with that client, whether it's selling them an insurance policy or having them buy an investment that's not under an advisory agreement, those instances, you switch standards, right? And you no longer have the requirement in some of those instances to be a fiduciary. And that is where we get our wires crossed. And that is the hat switching that I'm referring to.
Exactly. So different folks operate in different capacities when they are making recommendations. And that kind of brings us into number 3 here. What type of financial planning do you do, and what's included in your fee?
Right, totally. And this is the one that I think most folks listening now sort of, and I say this very as nicely as I can, that maybe don't understand quite as well as some of the other ones that are a little more black and white, because the financial planning that you do, right? Everyone views financial planning in sort of a different way. Some folks think of financial planning as the investment portfolio that they have. Some folks think of it as their estate plan. Some folks think about, X, Y, right? So it's really clearly defining the financial planning I'm looking for. The help I need is in this area. Do you offer services that align with that and can be most effective and valuable for me?
Yeah. And like I mentioned earlier, for example, an insurance professional, maybe you are looking for that insurance policy that solves your financial planning needs. Maybe you're looking for that investment that solves a different financial planning need. It's important to understand, hey, insurance person, do you also do investments? Hey, investment person, do you also do insurance? How are you looking at my tax situation? Some folks do these things, others don't. Some folks are looking for certain things that others are not. So making sure that what you need or what you feel that you need aligns with what you're getting is really the key here. And then understanding what you're paying for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that will go into one of our questions coming up here at the end, as far as like compensation and whatnot. But the important part there is when we talk about the hat switching and we look at, okay, if you're doing financial planning, you're creating this financial plan, and then the implementation recommendations are like 3 insurance policies. And then that person gets separately compensated for those 3 insurance policies. Like, there is that sort of potential for a conflict of interest in that case, right? And that financial planning, the planning work that they did that is great, but did it address ultimately the solutions you needed or the solutions that were most advantageous to be presented from the advisor?
Exactly. And kind of adding on to that, there are also folks who operate differently. Maybe they are full-time fiduciaries, always working in your best interest, but they charge one fee for managing your investment portfolio. Hey, tax time's coming around. Maybe they charge a separate fee for preparing your taxes for you. Oh, now you need a recommendation on estate planning. Maybe they have a different separate fee for that as well. So really understanding what the fee you're paying for will cover when you're interviewing someone, that's going to help you understand what you're going to get and if it's going to meet your needs.
Yeah, and for this, even more specifically, it's again the types of services. So just even find out, like, do you offer a comprehensive financial plan that will address certain areas? And we talk about our specific cash flow, estate, insurance, investment, and tax planning. Those are the areas that we view and look at as the sort of comprehensive, air quote, nature of a financial plan, and that's what we're ultimately doing. But there could be other services out there where it's like, hey, we only specifically address, investment and insurance planning, or we only will address estate planning or tax planning, right? And so there's that potential. Just understand, and I'm not saying that any one of these are right or wrong, right? You may just be looking for somebody who is a very tax-focused only financial planner, right? And that may be all you need, but it's just understand that so you don't end up with a more limited sort of knowledge and experience from your advisor than you were expecting.
Okay, so far you've gone through these questions with folks that you're interviewing. You found someone with the qualifications that you know that they're going to do right by you. You found someone who's a fiduciary at all times, always working in your best interest. You understand what they're offering and what you're paying for it. Now what? Well, do their other clients look like you?
Yes.
What types of clients do they usually work with? Do they have experience working with folks in similar situations to yours?
Right. And this is where our generational theme, right, of course, rings very, very true, right?
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to work with a financial planner who is working with almost exclusively baby boomers, and you are, Gen Y, right? You're a millennial, right. So there's like these things where you want to make sure that not only the experience aligns, right? And not only the education and training, and not only the capacity to be a fiduciary, but then also, okay, is that addressing my specific needs because of the stage of life I am in? And not saying that everyone's going to have the exact same specific needs during each of those stages, but in the aggregate, yeah, we tend to have similar needs based on our age and stage of life.
And sometimes also on our careers. Some financial planners focus on folks working for specific companies or who specifically receive equity compensation, or maybe who are teachers or work in the public sector. So just asking, am I similar to the other people who you work with can get you a long way to understanding whether you're going to find a fit in your financial planner that you're interviewing.
Yeah, and find out what's different, what's similar, and understand, how that might be a good fit for you or not. Our second to last question, I should say, is something you already alluded to, and that is, how do you charge for your services? Get the fee conversation out there and get it sort of out in front so you have a good, transparent understanding of how the advisor you're working with is making money, because unfortunately in this profession, there is a lot of room for sort of making that structure a little more opaque than it should be.
Yeah, not only can a financial planner charge different fees for different services, but that might not be the only way that they're getting paid. So it's good to understand where their income sources are coming from. Some folks earn their fees just from giving advice. Others might get commissions or kickbacks for selling certain products or for making certain recommendations. So ask your advisor just to be transparent, really understand how they're getting paid and how that might differ or be the same as what you are paying.
And all of these structures are completely legal, and there is nothing sort of immoral or wrong or anything about them. It's just a matter of disclosure. It's a matter of your understanding of those relationships and of those payments, right? So that you are aware of it, so that you can make an informed decision of whether to accept a piece of advice or question it maybe a little more, whatever the case is, because of the incentive and the motivation of the person presenting it to you.
number 6 here, our last one. Jason, we just added this because our wonderful colleague Riley likes to send this to folks who are considering working with us, and he recommended that we add a different number 6 here. So Riley's addition to our one of our original blogs from us working together, Jason, Riley's addition is, what's your investment philosophy? So as our director of investment planning, tell us all about it.
Yeah. So investment philosophy, first of all, let's just start from the top here. Like what that simply means is how money is being managed for you and what ultimately that leads into as far as the constituents, if you will, or the things that are inside your investment portfolio. How is that all going to take shape, right? That what kind of philosophy are you going to approach that with? So there are numerous different ways to approach managing an investment portfolio. There is active management, where you're buying and selling constantly all the time, and trying to take advantage of inefficiencies in the market. Then there's passive investing, where you are sort of like setting it and forget it, if you will. Our own philosophy is very much steeped in passive with a little bit of active sort of overlay, but it's not a very big one. It's just simply a way to continue to make sure that our portfolios are in line with our sort of the place we want them to be and allocated correctly. But there could be a number of different ways. Understand it. Understand how they're doing it, why they're doing it, and what sort of risks they might be taking that you're not comfortable with. It's a good question to ask.
Yeah, I feel like active trading has really kind of grown in popularity, and more people know what it is now, especially during COVID with people trying to beat the market in those ways. And, if you're already doing some active trading as an individual, maybe you're looking for an active trader to take this on in a more professional capacity to do it for you. Or maybe you have just invested in a target fund in your retirement account. Maybe it's age-based and you're more comfortable with that passive strategy already. You may be looking for someone with an investment philosophy similar to what you've done in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's especially if your financial planner, the one you're engaging with, is an investment professional as well, because it's important to understand that not all of them are. So this question may not apply to your interview of a financial planner who is not going to be managing investments for you, because it won't matter, if you will. Our bonus question, I suppose.
Ooh, bonus.
Then, is, have you been through any disciplinary action with a regulator or broken the law while practicing? And this is obviously a harsh one. You may leave the last part of that out, but important to understand if there are any sort of red flags present, whether it's a particular regulation or compliance issue, whatever the case is. Your financial professional needs to inform you of that prior history.
If you do ask this and get a simple no, that's very straightforward. If you don't want to ask it, you don't want to address this kind of difficult question, you can always use FINRA, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority's broker check, or the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission's Investment Advisor Public Disclosure website to see if there are any red flags that you should be aware of, that you maybe want to discuss with the person who's providing recommendations to you, financial advice, or that you may want to avoid as you find someone to give you that advice.
Well, with that, let's get into today's takeaways. And takeaway number 1 for me is all of these answers to all of these questions can be unique in their own way. There is no right or wrong answer, and that person is still a great fit for you as a financial planner professional. It's really tailored to what are your needs and what are the things that you want out of that relationship that will lead to what the right answers actually are.
And takeaway number 2, whatever those right answers are for you, they should be clear. The purpose of asking these questions is to gain clarity about the relationship that you're in with your current financial advisor or one that you may be entering into next.
Right. And that is critically important. And of course, takeaway number 3 is understanding that different professionals are out there for different sorts of needs and different sorts of services. So if it is a scenario where you're looking for a very specialized expertise, do not be shy about making sure that that person has that specific expertise. And it's not just sort of a glazed over part of the presentation, if you will. Make sure that they are going to meet those goals and needs that you have for whatever that ultimately is.
What are your thoughts on these questions that we've posed that you may want to ask your financial professional? Or did we miss one entirely? Reach out to podcast@fpfoco.com to let us know. And also follow us at FPFoco on your favorite social media channels, as we'd love to interact with you there as well.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. Well, hey, everyone, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Jason Speciner and Regina Neenan are investment advisor representatives of FPFoco, a registered investment advisor. The information in this podcast is provided for general educational and entertainment purposes only. It may not apply to you or your specific circumstances and should not be considered financial, investment, or tax advice.